External inspections are always completed by staff non-associated with the facility, and internally they are completed by staff that are assigned to the facility. The operations inspection process is the process that we utilize to compare our compliance with ACA standards. It assesses the established practices in the facility for those policies and procedures. The cyclical rotation for operations inspections, externally we do complete them every 2 years. Internally it's completed on the off year that the external process is not completed. There's a multitude of areas that are assessed for compliance with security measures throughout the operations inspection process. And I'm not going to read through every one of them, but you will see areas such as food service on there. We're not going in to assess compliance with food preparation standards or things of that nature. We're more going in to look at their compliance with security inside that area in regards to key control, tool control, accessibility, inmate accountability measures inside all of those areas. Areas specifically assigned to or related to security include areas such as the control center. That is strictly for security measures in that regards. And I think that the next slide just goes down through and includes all of the areas that we assess during that process. The vulnerability analysis process is a separate process. It is used to determine the threats that may exist inside a facility. It assesses security for the introduction of contraband inside the facility and also assesses the security of our perimeter. It establishes and measures the effectiveness of physical protection systems that are in place to prevent or limit the opportunity of an inmate threat. Cyclically, a BA is performed externally every 4 years. Internally, it is completed every year at the facility that the external process is not completed. The elements that we assess during the BA process include our perimeter intrusion detection system. That is the entire effectiveness of that system. Deputy Klopotowski had previously discussed that we perform our daily inspections. Security is directly tasked to perform that function, and then there's quarterly performance-based testing that's completed by maintenance staff, and security does participate in that process. But we do conduct performance-based testing during this analysis. We generate past sequence diagrams. Basically what these are diagrams that we can provide that would prevent an adversary access to something inside our facility or for them to defeat security measures that are in place. And then we'll take our estimates of adversary sequence interruption, which we refer to as EASIs. EASIs are, say, in regards to perimeter intrusion detection, the officer assigned to the outside perimeter vehicle has 2 minutes to respond to a perimeter alarm. We assess and make sure that the adversary could not reach that perimeter within 2 minutes by the time the officer would require a response. Another thing for that is our glass panels in the RHU. They're usually a 30-minute tamper, and usually 30 to 60-minute tamper, and rounds are required to be conducted in security level housing units every 30 minutes, which would provide an adversary sequence interruption there. And then finally, we determine worst case scenarios that would be encountered by the facility in the event that they would not take corrective action. In order for a security system to be effective, it has to be performed in the amount of time that it would be required for an inmate to perform an adverse action that would result in a breach of security. And once again, just examples of that were the perimeter intrusion detection system, tamper-proof glass, multiple layering of posts inside the facility where post orders interact and provide interaction and security measures. In order for you to have an effective security system, we have to provide detection of inmate presence. It has to provide a delay response. The most common element of delay that people can often familiarize themselves with is the presence of razor wire on our secure perimeters. Has to provide for response by facility security, provides protection in depth, meaning that if one security system or physical protection system that is in place fails, another system will provide response for that action. Has to minimize the sequence of failure, and finally provide balance and protection. The security analysis process is the third and final security audit that is completed inside the facility, and basically what the security analysis process does is it assesses the security of our perimeter inside our facility. It evaluates practices, procedures, and operation of the performance of technologies and physical protection systems. It's important to note that physical protection systems are an integration and collaboration of staff, technology, and processes. Cyclically, we perform a security analysis every 2 years, and internally the facility is tasked to complete their own process on the year that their external audit does not occur. Once again, there are a list of elements that are assessed during security analysis. I won't refer or go through the complete list, but basically there are 23 elements that all have to do with access to the secure perimeter or an area that would allow or permit access to the secure perimeter, such as loading docks, sally ports, things of that nature. When deficiencies are noted during any of the processes, if they're deemed to be critical in nature, they're immediately brought to the attention of the facility manager or superintendent and the respective regional deputy secretary. The department does have a procedure in place to follow up on the deficiencies that are noted during these processes. The facility manager is tasked with devising or implementing a corrective plan of action for his deficiencies or her deficiencies. They have 30 days from the date that they receive their final report to submit their plan of action to the respective regional deputy secretary. The regional deputy secretary does review all plan of actions and either will accept or deny the plan of action for the deficiencies. After that, they will respond with a 6-month corrective or follow-up report. And then security review committee, there's a security review committee assigned to every facility, and basically what they do is they provide ongoing corrective reviews for the facility in all security processes. So they're the follow-up actions for the external process. Internally, we have similar actions. However, you'll see that the 6-month follow-up report has been eliminated. Basically, what the facility does is, once again, 30 days to submit their plan of action. But in internal inspections, the security is charged with addressing those through the security review committee. The respective regional deputy will once again review those plans for appropriateness and either accept or deny them. And then in both processes, the regional deputy secretary and their inspection team will follow up and make physical observations of the corrective actions are in place during their quarterly regional tours. Just an overbrief, the Security Review Committee, it is a committee established at each facility that addresses the deficiencies noted during the inspection process. It also is open and receptive to initiatives submitted and addressed by the committee. Any level of staff can make or propose actions to be presented to the Security Review Committee. There are certain individuals that must serve on that committee. There's an electronic trades instructor that has to serve on the committee, along with the major, the guard, and the deputy secretary for facility management. We'll look at the critical incident management process in regards to risk management. Basically, what the critical incident management process is a systematic and comprehensive response to a plan that provides the necessary structure for managing critical incidents inside our facility. We do use the incident command system in the Department of Corrections. ICS was heavily weighed upon during and after the actions of 9/11, in which, as a nation as a whole, we realized that we did not have appropriate plans in place to respond to incidents on a large or small scale levels. So this is a nationally recognized systems that we use. It does provide a predetermined chain of command and structured organizational responses inside a facility. Also important to note that all line staff are provided training on the ICS system annually inside the facilities. Our ICS structure that we refer to, we have the command post. Basically what this is facility administrators in place at the specific facility. We have the planning section. We refer to them as the thinkers. They're the people that develop or implement the actions that are set forth, that are charged by the commands section to put in place. We have the operational section. We refer to them as the doers. Probably within the classifications here today, most correctional officer staff, H-1 bargaining unit members would in an ICS structure fall in the command or the structure of under operation, where they are charged with doing the acts set forth by the planning section and approved by command. We have logistics. They're referred to as the getters. Basically what they do is they provide or obtain the resources that we need to provide to response to a critical incident. And finally, we have the finance section. They're referred to as just the payers. And those little things in parentheses or quotations outside there, they're put in place as just easy formulated things that we can associate, or that line staff who are not routinely tasked to become more familiar with the ICS structure and system. We do have the ICS 5-step tactical plan. I'm sure that the people inside this room today are very familiar with that plan. They are charged to know what the plan is, to be able to respond to the 5 steps in succession, in which we report the incident. Any line staff can report a critical incident inside a facility. Basically, during the reporting phase, those staff would be required to report the exact location of the incident, the staff members involved, the number of inmates involved, whether there's weapons involved or hostages involved. The next phase in the 5-step is to contain. You'll see this in response to emergency, the IRT teams inside the facility, or the emergency response teams. Basically what they do is they contain the incident to a specific area so that it does not filter out into unaffected areas of the facility. Finally, we mobilize our resources, we bring them online, and we put them in place to effectively respond to the incident inside the facility. And then we recover, which means that we move to bring our facility back into normal operating conditions. During this phase, it is an intelligence gathering phase. We assess facility security through inspections of the facility. Classifications in this room today will be heavily relied upon in the recovery phase of the 5-step tactical plan. ICS training conducted by the department is in compliance with the National Incident Management System Compliance Assistance Act, meaning that we are required to report our progress in regards to the ICS training. It is ongoing for all departments that have response to critical incident. The department currently maintains compliance with that program, and it is heavily monitored by executive staff. We do complete drills and exercises inside the facility just to make sure that our line staff are familiar with their equipment, that they can provide response. It provides a measure or a means to measure our response time. It evaluates our external agency coordination, and it establishes our familiarity with the ICS structure as a whole. Annually, every facility is charged with completing an external agency participation drill, meaning that we can